Hi there, it's me, Carmen Sanyovi from Top Flight Family. And today's live video, I am going to share with you the 5 things that I never fly without. So these are the objects that I always pack with me on every flight, whether it's long or short. Now, some of these you may be familiar with, you may already be packing them as well, and others might be a little bit more of a surprise to you. So for those of you who are not familiar with my channel, Top Flight Family really documents the travels of me and my family. So it's me, my husband Serge, our daughters Sean and Ella. Sean is 9 and Ella is now 6 officially as of today, because today is her birthday. So happy birthday, Ella. Okay, so let's get started with number 1. Now, the first thing that I always travel with or always bring on a plane, no matter whether it's a short flight or a long flight, is an empty plastic bag. Now, you might be wondering, what's the point of this? Why would you pack an empty plastic bag? And it's because I love to have a place to put my own trash. So especially on a long flight, this is really important. For whatever reason, it just seems like whenever I do have trash, the flight attendant never comes by. Or when they do come by, it's like my drink is still full, I'm still eating. And then when I'm finally done with my food or my beverage, I have nowhere to put it. And so I'm kind of like, feels like I'm stuck there as a prisoner with my airplane tray table down. And so I love to have a place where I can just pop in my own garbage. And also, I like to kind of keep, airplane seats are pretty germy already. And it gets worse if you're, cluttering the area up with more trash. So, a lot of people will put their trash in the seat pocket in front of them. That gets pretty gross. So this is why this is a really good, it's simple solution. It doesn't take up any space, and it just makes the whole ride that much smoother. And I think this is particularly important if you're flying with kids. I always pack an empty plastic bag for both Sean and Ella so that they each have their own place to kind of put their garbage, because I usually pack a bunch of snacks for them to have on the plane so we don't have to rely on whatever food and snacks that the flight attendants bring by. So that is number 1. All right, quick water break. Okay, the second thing that I never fly without is a fanny pack. So I will admit that I'm very late to the game in jumping on the fanny pack trend. And now that I've tried it, I'm kind of like, I can't believe I ever flew without one of these. So fanny packs are kind of trendy nowadays. Although they don't call them fanny packs anymore. I think they're called waist bags or belt bags or something like that. I guess that's the more fashionably acceptable term these days. But I absolutely love wearing a fanny pack when we fly, because it's so great to have just a small pocket where I can keep all of the most valuable things, which in my case is usually passports, wallet, and phone. That's really it. Those are the top 3 for me. And particularly on a long flight, especially if I'm sitting next to a stranger, it's, I'm a New Yorker. I was also born and raised in Hong Kong, which is another big city. And because of that, I don't trust anybody. So especially if I'm sitting next to a stranger and I want to get up and use the bathroom, it's always such a pain to bring all your stuff with you, right? Because I usually bring a pretty big backpack on the plane with me. And so it feels really dorky to go to the bathroom and carry this huge backpack with me. But at the same time, I don't really trust leaving my stuff behind either. And so this is a great solution, because I basically keep the most valuable things in here. I keep it on my body at all times. So when I get up and walk away, the most valuable things are on me. So I don't have to worry about them. And then also, when you're kind of going out and about in the airport, going through security, going through immigration, it's just so easy to be able to just reach down and get exactly what you need. You don't have to like burrow into this big bag that has 5,000 other things to find what you're looking for. It just makes everything so much easier. And, I carry this one, which is pretty compact. So I've never had any issues with flight attendants saying, oh, you have a personal item, which is your book bag, and then you have this as well. that hasn't been an issue for me. So I make sure that it's small enough that if necessary, I can actually fit this into my book bag. If there is anyone making a stink about it, the fact that I secretly have a second bag. So if you're not on the fanny pack trend, definitely recommend this is a good time to get on that. Now, the third thing that I always fly with, and this is probably the most glamorous item on the list, are these compression socks. Yes, drink them in, compression socks. So you may already be familiar with these, and chances are you're already using them. But basically, when you fly, some people tend to get swollen feet and ankles or legs because of, okay, I don't really know the scientific explanation, but I guess it has something to do with being up high, the air pressure being different, blah, blah, blah. So a lot of people recommend using compression socks when you fly. Compression socks basically, as the name suggests, kind of like hold you in. And I believe it increases the blood circulation in your legs. And so it helps to reduce that swelling. And I think, but don't quote me on this, I'm not a doctor, I think that it may also help to alleviate the chances of getting blood clots, which is something that people actually do get on flights. It's not that usual, but I have heard of it happening. So it's a real thing. So yeah, I used to definitely suffer from the swollen feet and legs when I flew, and I never used to use compression socks. And I was kind of like, that's for old people, or like, that's a myth. I don't think it's really a thing. But then one day I was like, let me just try it out and see if this makes a difference. And it totally made a difference. So on a shorter flight, so if it's like a 2 hours or less of a flight, I'm not really going to bother with the compression socks because that's not really long enough to have such a big effect on my body. But anything that's like 3 hours and up, I will usually wear the compression socks. And it really has made a difference for me. My feet don't get as swollen. My legs don't get as swollen. And particularly on really long flights, like when we flew to Hong Kong, for instance, that's a long haul, serious long haul flight from New York. Sorry, there's an airplane going by right now. Especially on a flight like that, it made a tremendous difference. So at the end of the flight, my legs were still a little bit swollen, but I know that if I hadn't been wearing them, it would have been so much worse. And, there's nothing worse than flying from a cold climate to a warm climate and then having to put on sandals or flip-flops and your feet are looking all gross, right? It's kind of like why a lot of women get pedicures before vacations. You want the toes to be looking cute. But even if you have a great pedicure and you land and your feet are all swollen and gross, it's just not a cute look. So definitely, especially if I'm going somewhere warm, these are a lifesaver. Okay, so this is number 3. Number 4 is this guy. And this is basically a little stand or holder for my iPhone or whatever kind of cell phone you have. So I know that airlines have really great entertainment systems these days, especially when we flew Emirates to Dubai. Like that entertainment system was crazy. They had like 30 different languages. I mean, they literally had movies and shows from all over the world. I think you could probably sit there and go through the whole entertainment system and not repeat a show for like 3 years or something like that. It's really impressive. But that said, things happen. Sometimes the screen in your seat might not be working. Sometimes the whole entertainment system may be down. I mean, things like that do happen. So you can't really expect to get on a plane and expect that everything will go 100% smoothly. So for that reason, I pretty much always will travel, before I fly, I will usually download a bunch of shows from Netflix. So unfortunately, you're not able to do that on desktop, which is unfortunate because I would much rather watch Netflix on a bigger screen. However, you can do it on the app, and I'm gonna see if I can like pull that up now to show you. But here's the Netflix app, and basically, there are certain shows where, okay, So for example, this is one of the new shows. I haven't actually watched this yet, but from Netflix, called The Bodyguard. And if you look at this little button or this little icon next to the episodes, this means that you're actually able to download the shows. So this is really handy, and the download speed is incredible. I mean, like, I'm old enough to remember like the early days of streaming video, and it's really remarkable how things have changed. So if you find a show that you like, just download a bunch of episodes, and then that way they're saved on your phone. So even if you don't have internet access, which most likely you wouldn't on a plane, even if they have Wi-Fi, it's not going to be speedy enough Wi-Fi to allow for streaming video. You can watch Netflix on your own phone. And so it's a roundabout way of, let me get back to this thing. So especially if I'm on a long flight and I'm watching Netflix on my phone, I don't want to have to be holding my phone the whole time like this, because my arm gets tired and I'm generally a little bit lazy. So that's where this guy comes in. I can just plop it on here and put that on the airplane tray table, and then I have a really comfortable way in which I can watch my own shows. And so I don't have to rely on the in-flight entertainment system just in case something goes wrong, it goes down, or the screen isn't working. My husband, Serge, actually just got back from the Dominican Republic yesterday on JetBlue, and his screen wasn't working the entire flight. And I believe possibly the entire row was like that on the plane. So these things happen, so I like to be prepared and bring my own entertainment. All right, so that is number 5, is essentially Netflix downloads and a little holder for your phone so you can watch more comfortably. The 6th and final thing is a pashmina scarf / shawl, whatever you want to call it. So this is just honestly a cheap little shawl that I got from Amazon. It's $10, comes in a bunch of colors, and it's one of my favorite things to travel with. I know that cashmere is really the sort of true luxe way to do it. But considering that things get dirty and I'm gonna wash and dry this as soon as I get back from a flight because I'm paranoid about germs and bed bugs, this $10 pashmina works really well for me. So it's perfect to wear, as a scarf, especially since, sometimes on a plane, I feel like there's weird cold spots. Like generally, I run kind of hot in general. I'm kind of a sweaty girl. But the temperature fluctuations on the plane are so crazy. And sometimes it'll just be a certain spot that's cold, or the air is just like blowing directly on your neck. That's definitely happened to me, where I was like, man, I really wish I had a scarf right now, because it's just like this one spot that's like right here. So it's really great to use as just an extra layer, keep your neck warm, and that helps to keep your whole body warm. And then it's also like big enough where I can actually spread it out and use it as a blanket, or sometimes this way, going wide, because I kind of prefer a thinner blanket. So the airplane ones, the hygiene is always a little questionable. I'm not sure exactly how clean those things are. And then also it's kind of nice to just have a thinner blanket, and then to have one that I know for sure is really clean. So pashmina, this is something that makes a big difference. I've started also packing these for my girls, so they each have their own little pashmina scarf that they fly with, so they can also use it as a blankie if they want to take a nap, or they can use it as a scarf to, again, kind of manage those climate fluctuations that happen in the airport and on the plane. So that is it. Those are the 5 things that I never travel with. Well, I never fly without, specifically flying. So just to recap, the first one was, where is it? Okay, first one was plastic bag, an empty plastic bag to hold your trash. Second one was fanny pack to hold all your valuables, keep them on you at all times. Third one was compression socks, super glamorous, keeps your legs from getting all swollen and gross. The fourth one was this little iPhone holder, which holds my phone, and it makes it easy for me to watch Netflix and not have to hold my phone the whole flight long. And then the last one was this pashmina scarf, which I love because I can use it both as a scarf and also as a thin blanket if I'm gonna be taking a nap on the plane. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any feedback, any thoughts on some of the things I shared, leave a comment. I do read all the comments. I would love to know what you think. If you have any sort of essentials that you never fly without, I'd love to hear what those are. So leave a comment for that as well. If you're not already subscribed, of course, please click that subscribe button. We'd love to have you stick around. And if you are on Instagram, make sure to follow us at Top Flight Family. All right, bye.